Hello, everybody. Josh Shernoff here, and welcome to the second episode of Triller TV Talk, where we talk all things Triller TV. And boy, do we have a show for you today. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to kick things off talking all things AEW Dynasty, but there is so much more. So stay tuned for that. But I can't do this alone. So please welcome my co host, Mr. Dave Sturchio. Dave, you watched a lot of wrestling this week.
A lot of wrestling, man. Let me tell you, AEW Dynasty, as we spoke about this last week, AEW does a lot of great things, but man, do they put on pay-per-views. And this one was a very, very long one, but every single match, Josh, had its own sizzle, had its own element of surprises, had its own, it was just incredible. I looked at my little my little heart meter here, and I would burn about 5,000 calories watching some of the matches, just sweating. So it was it was intense, man, but a great pay-per-view nonetheless.
I had the opportunity to be there live, witness it in person, which is really the only way. If you're not going to be there live, you got to be here on Triller TV. But what an incredible experience to be able to see some of those matches up close. You talked about kind of being out of breath with some of these. We had joked last week about the triple threat match with Kenny Omega, listen, Speedball Mike Bailey has been there I talked to him backstage, and we were trying to figure out, he said, he's like, I think it's been about 3 weeks. I was like, do you understand how crazy this is? Right in there with Ricochet and Kenny Omega, and what a match that was.
From start to finish, it just, you know what it was? Like I said before, you could burn calories just watching them. Between Bailey and Megan Bayne and all these newcomers that are onto the scene, like, they're not tiptoeing into the waters of AEW. They are doing an absolute cannonball. And it's amazing to see how Bailey went in there and ran with one of the best, to me, in Kenny Omega, the best in the world. In Kenny Omega. And then, of course, you can't say enough about Ricochet. These guys have to be hurting today. And again, I can't say enough about this match in itself with the energy they provide.
But we have to talk about what happened after the fact.
Sure.
Because after the match, that is where things really got interesting. First of all, we didn't know when this match was going to, I thought this match was going to end so many different times.
Right.
And it was such an edge of your seat type of match. So once it's finally over and we see Kenny Omega holding up his international championship, and we're all just, man, it's done. Like, what an incredible match that was. And then out of nowhere,
oh yeah,
I mean, here comes Okada with the Continental Championship.
Right. So that makes things so much more interesting, because, again, you can't say enough about the match itself. If you have to go back and watch it, you have to. I've watched it twice, believe it or not. Once in the sauna this morning, which was even a worse decision because I was hurting. I was like, this is incredible. Yeah. it was just, I was between the match itself and then the moments after, you finally see the picture starting to crystallize, and we're about to get one of the greatest matches in a long time. And like I said last week, that triple threat match, you will be talking about it for years to come. When you're talking about, who has one of the greatest triple threat? This one that we just watched served us a plate of just amazement. And I can't say enough about the energy and the electricity they provided. And again, Josh, I'll say this with all due respect, because I'm not the biggest fan of the city of Philadelphia. But that crowd brought the intensity and the heat all night long. They did not sit on their hands. At the end of the night, nobody had left. It was just full of just wrestling fans. And again, it's awesome. It was just awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about some of these matches.
Sure.
You had mentioned earlier, Megan Bayne. What a showing by Megan Bayne.
She is on a level on her own right now. The power the speed, the just everything, and then of course the big Bill match, the tag team match.
Look at this, what we saw behind. Interference by MJF, which was something that the Hurt Syndicate did not see coming. They didn't know that was going to happen.
Did you by any chance see MJF's tweet after the said interference? He went out there and he said, we hurt people, and he was he was involved. He was just ready to rock and roll. So
yeah, that's it. We talk now. Look, the match has continued on here. Right here, we're taking a look at Adam Cole. He would go on to become the brand new TNT champion. I had an opportunity to speak to Adam Cole. Look at this, my God!
Yeah, he just continues to impress as well.
And there was a sign of respect after that match that was shown with Daniel Garcia. But I had an opportunity to talk to Adam Cole post-match at the press conference, and we're going to show that clip right now. I asked him about, well, why don't we just take a look? I'm Josh Shernoff, Triller TV. I don't want to take anything away from this because this is huge for you, and congratulations, of course. A couple of years ago, you were the inaugural winner of the Owen Hart tournament as well. Back then, that did not immediately lead to a world title match at All In the way that it does today. Looking at that accolade you had before, looking at this and looking at that tournament and where those competitors this year are headed, are you seeing this as a potential to maybe quickly move towards that main event world title picture?
I think at the end of the day, any wrestler in AEW who says they don't want to be the AEW world champion is lying or kidding themselves. And like you had said about winning the inaugural Owen Hart tournament, about being the TNT champion, I'm going to defend this championship and hold it proudly. But absolutely being 100% transparent, of course, being the AEW world champion is absolutely my goal. And I think stuff like this is moving me closer and closer to making that dream come true. So yeah, no question. I'm absolutely still focused on becoming the AEW world champion. Maybe a double champ. Who knows?
Ooh, champ. I like that. I like that
a
lot.
Anyone can do it.
No,
Adam Cole, baby.
Like you had mentioned in the interview itself of him being the inaugural winner of the Owen Hart Memorial tournament. The sky has always been the limit for him. It's just a matter of Bill Belichick, a legendary NFL coach, once said the best ability is availability. Adam Cole just has to stay on the field, right? He can do some great things if he stays healthy and he continues. And now he can take the TNT championship to greater heights than it's ever been. So I'm excited to see this title reign, and I'm excited to see the future for him.
We talked about the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. One of the matches is the match that opened the show. Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight was a replacement for Jay White. And man, the number one thing when you have a replacement is to make sure that it exceeds the expectations, right, of what would have been before. This match was insane. It was, and we've come to know this from a Will Ospreay match, right? But I don't think you can take away what Kevin Knight brought to this match as well.
Yeah, I wrote it down in my notes. I said, Kevin Knight's here. He's here. This was his coming out party. This was huge for him. Sometimes, in professional wrestling, with stories, wins matter, right? They do matter, but performances can go a lot longer. And I feel like Kevin Knight now belongs in AEW. I don't look at this match as a replacement now. You know what I mean? I look at like this dude belongs in that spot. Fantastic match from start to finish. The guys were countering stuff that you didn't think could be countered, like Spanish flies on the fly off the road. It was like, again, one of those things where you're just like, boom, 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 boom. You didn't know where to look.
If you haven't seen this match, it is worth, and this can be said about pretty much any match that happened on the card. It is worth the price of admission. It is worth going right now, Triller TV, and ordering AEW Dynasty to watch this back. Earlier, before the show, I had the opportunity to sit down with Will Ospreay. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, where we will release the entire interview. It was about a half hour long. We put a couple of minutes of clips up yesterday on social media, but we dive into some really interesting stuff. One of the things we talk about is where Will Ospreay, where he believes Owen Hart could be if we were to pluck him out of time and put him today in AEW, where could he be? But we're going to show a clip right now.
Fantastic question, by the way, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to take a look right now at something we discussed, which was going on this assumption that perhaps Will Ospreay would be victorious without knowing what was going to happen in the main event. I wanted to ask Will about the potential for All In. So take a look at this. Do you have a preference of who you would like to have? We'll say when you main event All In for the AEW Championship. Who you'd like to have standing across
That's
from you?
so hard. That's a hard question because now that I've told you, like, Moxley's kind of the reason I'm here. But do I agree with what he's doing right now? No. I'm being honest with you. I am really pulling for Swerve to win this match because I am so sick of seeing the world title in a briefcase. It's one of the best looking belts in wrestling, and how it is not being promoted on shows, how it is not being seen by our public infuriates me. So I'm being real with you. I want Swerve to win, and if Swerve does win, I really want to get that lick back. I would love to be able to rewrite that bit of history because there won't be any family members ringside and there won't be any distractions. Like, my focus, and I will ensure with Tony that there is a line of security to stop people from coming over that ramp side. I don't want no hangman to interrupt because that's what happened at last year's All In. Just leave it between us two because I think that is the future of AEW. I think myself and Swerve can carry that weight of AEW, and I think we can carry that weight at All In. But there's also that part of me that, look, if you were to say who the ace of AEW is, who would you say?
I mean, right now it's tough not to say Jon Moxley. He is
the
champion.
lineage,
He is
right?
Right.
The lineage that is
How
done.
many times he's held the championship? The main events that he's had? Yeah, it's tough not to say that.
I feel like I'm the ace now, and I think once every 5 years there's a change in tide. And I think at that moment now, I feel it. And I think he would probably look at me and tell me I'm wrong. And I think I would look at him and say, well, I think I'm right. And there's only one place to prove it. And it's inside that ring. It's with a 60-minute time limit, with the highest upon highest of stakes. So I can't really answer your question, unfortunately, because whether it's Swerve or whether it's Moxley, there isn't a wrong or right answer. It is just, who am I taking the belt off of?
There you have it.
It's confidence. It's confidence. Now, look,
I'm sold on that match. Right? I know he has two more rounds to get through.
Well, that's the problem I have with the question like that. And again, kudos to you. It's a great interview. But when you talk about a tournament and you talk about like needing a couple more wins just to get there, you don't want to look too far ahead, right? You don't want to, outkick your coverage. You don't want to. That's called the trap game in the NFL, right? It's a trap game. You don't want to look past your opponent this week because the glitz and the glamour of the World Championship match at a major pay-per-view, one of the biggest of the year, would be the ultimate, right? But I think he should focus a little bit more on his next opponent. But again,
and when you hear the whole interview,
yeah,
that's something we actually discuss about that concept of, how do you have this goal in mind, this lofty goal of main eventing at All In? But at the same time, you have to look at who's right in front of you, which is a conversation that I also had with Kyle Fletcher, because we spoke earlier in the day. We also have a full interview that will be on Triller TV's YouTube channel in the near future. But we had that same conversation looking at, hey, you had to get through Mark Briscoe, which he did. And they are now tied 2-2. So listen, a rubber match is coming. Now a fifth between them at some point. But, coming off of last pay-per-view with Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay in a unbelievable cage match, which we talk about that as well. And they both have very different opinions about the aftermath of that and how they're feeling. But I want to take us to this piece of this interview with Kyle Fletcher, though, because I asked him the same thing that I had asked Will Ospreay, again, with the understanding that we did not know, would it be Jon Moxley? Would it be Swerve Strickland? We'll talk about that in a moment, but take a look at what Kyle Fletcher had to say. Let's go on the assumption that you do make it past Mark Briscoe. You do make it to
which
that
I
main
will.
event, which you will. You heard it here first. You're in that main event now, all in. Do you have a preference? Tonight, we are going to see Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland. Do you have a preference of who you would like to have standing across the ring from you?
I'm thinking about it real hard. And no, it doesn't make a difference to me whatsoever. I think if I focus too much on the outside noise, on what I can't control, because I have no say in what happens in the main event tonight, if I focus on that, then I lose sight of what I can control, which is me versus Mark Briscoe, me in the Owen Hart tournament, and winning that thing. So I think if I bother myself with things that don't really matter essentially right now, I don't even have the main event spot yet. So why would I be thinking about that? That's down the track. That's one of those things where it's much better to think about what's happening right now. And I think whoever ends up being across from me in that ring, I just have to believe in myself more than anything. I can beat anybody on any given night, and I am a firm believer in that. So whoever's standing across from me, as long as I go in there with that belief.
That's the answer you're looking for.
Yep.
that is the answer you're looking for.
And it worked
for me.
for him.
Yeah, that worked. Yeah, that one was a lot. It did work for him. Did you? My God, there was a brain buster from the top to the top turnbuckle to end that match. I was like, oh my God. Listen, Mark Briscoe's been through a lot, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, right? The dude can still just lace him up and go, but not many people will get up from that. I don't care who you are, right? So kudos and hats off to Kyle Fletcher. An amazing match and an advance in a massive tournament.
And of course, we did find out. Look at this. Take a look at this. A Swerve Strickland jumps off the ladder, putting Moxley through the announce table.
I thought for sure that moment was a complete shattered something, right? Like you can't do that.
Maybe it was. We don't know yet, right?
We won't know.
But what I do want to talk about and what I want to ask you about was how that match ended. The internet has been furious about how that
too. I took it
about how that match ended with the return of the Young Bucks. But that offers up a number of questions, right? Why go after Strickland? Was this about Swerve Strickland? Was this about making a statement? Was this about an alliance with the Death Riders? What do you think when you look at this? I mean, the Young Bucks left months ago, basically saying we're not happy with things. We're not happy. This isn't our AEW. That sounds a lot like stuff we've heard from Jon Moxley about how we're going to kind of make this the AEW I want this to be.
Right.
Do you think that maybe we're looking at a potential alliance between the two, or is this just a circumstance that worked out for Jon Moxley?
I'm not Nostradamus by any stretch, but halfway through the pay-per-view and I'm watching it, I'm like, man, what's a pay-per-view with the Bucks? We haven't seen them in so long. I swear, I on my kids, I said that out loud. I was like, where the hell are the Bucks? And then all of a sudden, you get this main event, a fantastic match, and it's ruined. To me, it was ruined. I took to Twitter right away. I said, what a horrific ending to an incredible match, because Swerve Strickland gave Mox everything he possibly could. Now, how do I feel like the Bucks? Where do they stand in this? Like you said, the verbiage, the action, it all kind of lines up, right? It all kind of lines up. So now we're interested to see, where they say, or if they break their silence on Wednesday night, right? We don't know, but I will say, all signs point to some kind of alliance, some kind of something. There's no personal vendetta against a Swerve Strickland. It was just simply, let's keep that belt on Jon Moxley. So that's where I lean on that.
This match right here of Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart. Mercedes Moné, obviously, with those backstabbers there, we know what she can bring. Julia Hart, I think, showed everybody what she brings to the table, what she's able to do.
She hit Julia Hart hit a tarantula on the outside of the ring. I was like, oh, it's Tajiri. You know what I mean? Like it was like she grabbed her by the ankles. It was very impressive. Julia Hart, once again, she can absolutely go with anybody. Mercedes Moné is at the top of the food chain, or at the second to last. But there she is now. The biggest.
This is what we want to talk about,
right? So
not just AEW.
right.
That's
so
not the only place you're seeing Mercedes Moné on Triller TV. How about House of Glory?
It's very interesting to see her emerge onto the independents House of Glory. Now, this wasn't just a, hey, I'm here to wrestle, sign me up against whoever. This was against Indy Hartwell. And Indy Hartwell is now on the independent scene, back doing her thing. She belongs on the main stage. She's seen the mountaintop. Mercedes Moné being back there was interesting because it's kind of like going home. And I'm not talking about House of Glory in particular. I'm talking about Amazing Red being her trainer, where she learned most of her wrestling on the come up. And now all of a sudden to pay it forward, like, hey, I'll grace you with my presence. Give me what, the best you got. And here's Indy Hartwell, which you can also see her coming up on a couple independent promotions that I'm very excited to see. But yeah, Mercedes Moné doing her thing, gets the win last night, gets the win over Indy Hartwell a couple weeks back at House of Glory. It'll be interesting to see the path that she goes down post win over Julia Hart. But again, one of those things where she does, listen, there's no mistake about it, Josh. She does not lack confidence at all, right? Sometimes that's a detriment. Sometimes you got to be careful of how quickly you think, I'm the boss, I'm the CEO, I'm this, I'm that. Just prove it. Just continue to prove it. Put together a nice string of things. Yeah.
And as we transition from that, we continue to talk about Philly, because the Philly special that took place from GCW. Here's just one of the matches. Zeta Steel,
WWE ID's Zeta Steel, right? So like she's on the very come up as well.
And as you can see on the what we're showing you here, that says April 6th. That means it is available now. And of course, start your 7-day free trial of Triller TV Plus. You can watch GCW, Wrestling Revolver, House of Glory, Progress Wrestling. You know what? It's right below us as well. Defy, ICW, and many, many more. But here's Richard Holiday versus Breaker Morant. I heard nothing but incredible things. Obviously, I was down at AEW, so I personally haven't even had the opportunity to watch this yet. But spoiler, that's my afternoon. And then of course we had the Miracle Generation versus Wasted Youth.
Wasted Youth, very underrated, very underrated. They can absolutely fly around as well.
Let's also talk internationally, though.
Sure,
right? Because WXW, We Love Wrestling, 16 Karat Gold Revenge. What Triller TV brings to you, as we look at some of these clips right here, what Triller TV brings is a little bit of international flavor as well.
Yeah.
Not just what we're seeing with House of Glory, what we're seeing with Wrestling Revolver, what we're seeing, of course, with AEW, GCW, the ones here in the States. But there's so much outside of the United States as well, which now mainstream pro wrestling. We talked about Will Ospreay. We talked about Kyle Fletcher. And you can see this in all aspects of pro wrestling. Some of the biggest stars, some of the biggest names in wrestling today are coming from overseas into the United States. And it's an exciting time to be a professional wrestling fan. And that's the beauty of Triller TV, is that you can see all of these people maybe before they become the massive stars that they're going to be. We also have right here North Wrestling, which again,
dude, first of all, their brewery show, they had a show at a brewery. My two there it is. My favorite, you can't even, my favorite combination of all time, right? Professional wrestling and beer. Like, sign me up all day. Sign me up all day for that.
And you know what? I saw a lot of that last night, actually.
Right, a lot of that, because you're in Philly.
A lot of people are into that combination.
I will say this, Josh. They do it a little differently out there. The tolerance for beers and wrestling is greater out there across the pond. And I will say, from a production standpoint, from an intimate crowd standpoint, and just the harder hitting that they provide over there between WXW and North Wrestling, and all of the content that we've seen on Triller TV. It's just, and I don't get me started.
ICW.
ICW is another one where I just feel like you are going to find that diamond in the rough very, very soon and very, very shortly. If you're a wrestling enthusiast, there's no other place to be than Triller TV right now, because there are so many different, just little nuanced things about each one of these promotions. Like, again, something like an ICW, the world is, dude, I can't say enough. Again, with the Matrix feel to it, right? Like with the grid, and just, it's just a cool look for professional wrestling. And again, you know, the wrestling that you see in the States, right, around us, Philadelphia, you know, New York area, California, LA, Texas, all this stuff, you could find great professional wrestling in the United States, but they got to watch their backs, because the across the pond, you know, between England and Germany and everything like that, those guys are bringing it. They're hitting harder. They're passionate. You just got to be careful, because it won't be long before we're talking about professional wrestling being completely a global product.
And I'm here, not to interrupt you, but I'm here. We actually do have some clips right now from the Philly special.
Yeah.
We mentioned this match earlier. Zeta Steele versus Ashley Fox. I mean, the women's action that took place in the ring, but then at the same time, we also have some names that people might be familiar with.
Ooh.
Jonathan Gresham,
yes,
versus WWE ID's Marcus Mathers. The action that took place, and you and I have had the opportunity. We hosted a pre-show for GCW in this very venue.
I know it looked familiar.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic venue, a great crowd, and everything that I hear is that they had the same crowd, same quality of crowd yesterday. Man, Philly, we know it's a wrestling town.
I know, ready for this? I know 2 or 3 people that I saw on their social stories that they were at GCW in the afternoon and then took a little drive, and then they wound up at AEW Dynasty. So Philadelphia was on fire last night in the best way possible. And like I said, and there's Effie, their GCW champion. He was also in action. Can't say enough about Effie as well. The roster of GCW, you're never going to find any GCW product, and I spoke about this last week. GCW's library on Triller TV is just, it's massive. It's massive. And no matter where they go, Josh, there is no doubt in my mind that the crowd is sold out. Like, there's nowhere to sit in any of the, like, looking around the ring, the people are there. They come in bunches, and they keep providing such amazing entertainment, and just keep delivering great professional wrestling. And like I said, my hat's off to Lauderdale and crew at GCW. They have provided some serious memories within the last couple of years. It's just been
as
great.
we mentioned, though, great professional wrestling, not just in Philadelphia,
Right.
but outside of the U.S. and one place in particular, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. We're going to take a look right now at this trailer that they released for an upcoming event, which will be right here on Triller TV.
For decades, these walls have stood silent. The echoes of legends, the wars fought, the glory claimed, all frozen in time. But history never fades. It waits. And now, after 4 decades, the wait is over. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling returns to hallowed ground. The Mecca of Canadian pro wrestling once again opens its doors to a new generation of warriors, ready to carve their legacy into history. The road to this night has been paved in sacrifice, and only the strongest will stand under these lights. The past, the present, the future, all converge in one place. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling presents Northern Rising, live Saturday, May 10th, exclusively on Triller TV.
I cannot
You say
Fair
anything
enough.
other than wow?
Yeah, dude. First of all, the voice of MLP Mauro Ranallo on the trailer there, that made me excited because I'm a big Mauro guy. But yeah, man, you can't say enough about the journey that MLP has been embarked on between Scott D'Amore and the presentation and just everything, all the things he's learned in all of his years in professional wrestling, from being at TNA and Impact and everything that he's done in his career. He's taken it north, right? He's taken it north. And now
Took it
MLP,
back home. I mean,
he's
that's where
right.
this started for him, and that's where and that's something that I love about what Scott D'Amore does is this is so important to him to have not just an independent promotion, but a promotion, the quality that they turn out. And don't take our word for it. Go back. Maple Leaf Pro Mayhem. It was a 2-day event rather, on March 15th and 16th.
They've done that twice. They've done that twice, 2-day event.
Yeah,
Now it's
available
gonna be a
on Triller TV. Go check that out because it to me, Dave, it was reminiscent, visually, production wise, reminiscent of the old TNA in the best way. In the best way. And this is a great opportunity for these Canadian stars, these Canadian future stars, I should say, to have this chance to work with some big, you had a guy like Billy Gunn who came in there. I saw Billy Gunn yesterday. He looked like he walked right out of 1998. And which
Benjamin
is the only
Button of AEW.
The only reason that can't be true is because he didn't look that good in 1998 compared to how he looks today. But regardless, so many, Matt Cardona was there recently. So many great stars. And of course, to have Scott D'Amore at the helm there is a great opportunity for anybody who wants to sit under
you're doing
his
yourself
learning tree.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by not even trying the 7-day free trial, because in that 7 days, go consume MLP, and I promise you will be back to watch this pay-per-view. I promise. I can almost make a guarantee that that you'll be back to consume all that is Maple Leaf Pro. It's that they're really off to a great start.
We have to look ahead to what is coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I'm talking about Mania Week on Triller TV. Everybody knows this is the biggest week of the year for professional wrestling. And we are kicking things off. Of course, we have the Collective. The GCW Collective is going to kick off with the ID tournament. And to me, when you're looking at a way to make a statement, to make an impact in professional wrestling, what better way than to, as we're taking a look at this now, what better way than to show up at GCW during the Collective Mania weekend? And oh, by the way, it's the first round of the ID tournament, the WWE ID tournament. I mean, all eyes are going to be on Las Vegas that week. All eyes are going to be on Triller TV. And I implore you to make sure your eyes are on Triller TV, because this is, as Dave said before, 7-day free trial. Coming up this month alone is just, it's worth a year's worth. And I know that sounds like a hard sell, but you know what? It's easy for me to make that sell, Dave, when I believe it as strongly as I believe it. Just this past weekend alone, the wrestling that happened. But coming up, just look at some of the people who are going to be at this ID tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's stacked. It's Mania week. It's the biggest week, like you just said, of professional wrestling in our year. You're fortunate enough, Josh, boots on the ground, man. You will be right there, dead center, to witness all of this on behalf of Triller TV Talk, just to get the same kind of content that you provided for this episode, because we had such great coverage of AEW. Now you're going to get some great coverage of GCW. And the people that have been chosen for this WWE ID tournament, and then, of course, you can't say enough about Joey Janela's spring break. It gets bigger and bigger every year.
Joey Janela and Sabu's retirement match.
All right, now keep in mind, this Joey Janela is like weeks removed from a torn bicep. Okay, so that's freakish like recovery. I know.
In fairness,
Well,
I think Sabu has a torn everything. So, and always has,
yeah,
always will.
I got to assume he just skipped out on the old surgery, right? He
No, just some
let it
glue.
heal, let it heal. Little
Some
glue,
and
right?
tape.
Little duct tape, little duct tape. But now we're talking about something else. Josh Barnett, like you want to talk about something that is more hard hitting than anything. We talked about what they can do across the pond. Well, guess what? In Vegas that week, Bloodsport 13. Okay, the lineup that he is bringing to this show is going to be something worth mentioning and a reason to tune in for the GCW Collective all week long. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. This is why they call it the Collective, because there's so much action in a span of a couple weeks, days.
In Bloodsport, in Bloodsport, it's enough action that normally would be a couple of weeks, all jammed into a couple of days. Could you imagine? We talk about WWE ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine somebody going into Bloodsport? We know the WWE superstars that are going to be there. Some of them are legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine walking into Bloodsport, defeating a WWE superstar during Mania week? I mean, if the world's not going to be talking about you, I don't know what's going to make them talk about you.
You will be having the internet abuzz, right? That's the cliche, that's the term. And then of course, Defy doing their thing. I cannot look. Mance Warner is one of my favorite guys going right now. Truth be told, I was a very big fan of the Mance Warner era, Mance era over at GCW when he was champion, and now he's going against Kenta for Defy's Living Proof. Again, the proof is there, man. The living proof is there. You know, they are going to deliver. And of course, can't forget about Effie's Big Gay Brunch 10.
The GCW Championship will be defended exclusively that weekend at Effie's Big Gay Brunch.
Yes.
You broke that news
the
to us last
lineup.
week.
Go follow Effie on Twitter. He is X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. He is providing you with a full lineup. Same thing with Janela. Janela keeps announcing more and more matches. For his I don't know if you saw this, but I believe there's going to be, Josh, you might qualify for this if you're interested, the cluster forever. I will keep it PG here, but yeah, you can be involved in this, or you can be involved, I believe there's some kind of over 45. You're over 45, right? Over 45.
I am not, sir.
I just know
thank
that
you to take your jokes elsewhere.
Yeah. I'll take it right to Vegas in front of you.
the cluster forever. Yeah, you never know who's going to show up in that.
I've seen. Did you know the Invisible Man is going to be there?
But you know what? I didn't see him yesterday.
God, Josh,
but I will be there.
On giving, bro.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will be in the cluster.
Ooh. I'll put in a call to Mr. Janela. See if we can do that. See if we can get that happening here. What crazy coverage? Then you can interview yourself. How you feel after the cluster F? Yeah. It's gonna be great.
So that is coming up here on Triller TV, the GCW Collective Mania Week on Triller TV. But of course, still coming up for our international fans on AEW Plus. We have AEW Dynamite coming up this Wednesday. That's tomorrow as you're watching this. So many questions will be answered. One of those questions
you would hope
that hopefully will be answered is the condition of Adam Copeland. We saw, we didn't touch base on that, but it's important to note FTR turning on Cope last night in a vicious way.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose a match because of a miscue, right? But for them to do what they did is it's a little daunting to see FTR go down this road. We don't know when we're going to see Cope again. He was stretchered out of there. His eyes were not open, right? Here's some of the clips right here.
We're taking a look at it now. It just
right there, and then the concerto, and then it's just constant brutality.
I mean, this is a guy, let's not forget, whose neck injury
he had a
disqualified him for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, spinal fusion is no joke. I can only look. Last night there, I left my that scene. I left to me in my notes. I'm sitting there. I'm like, what's next for Cope, right? If there is a next for Cope, right? We won't know. Maybe we'll get some kind of update on Wednesday. But Josh, I want to leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger for this one. Okay.
Oh, please.
There's a time and a place that best friends, brothers have you, will answer the call if needed. And I think there's a certain 5-second pose that's needed to come on back and get them some of FTR. I got chills just talking about it. I'm just throwing it out there again. You could throw it back at me. I'll catch it. I don't drop.
No,
passes,
I'm going to keep
right?
it. I'm going to keep it because I love it. And I
too.
hope that if Adam Copeland does find himself, he's dealt with, look, he just got back from a broken leg. Like, I hope he's able to return to the ring after what we saw at Dynasty. And if he is, yeah, I do hope that he has a riding partner with him. We asked you after the event, you the fans who were there, we asked match of the night for Dynasty. We're going to take a look at that right now.
Oh, that's going to be the trios match. Death Riders, you know? Come on, Yuta's my boy. Yuta's been my boy for a long time, and he's going to continue to be my boy. And I don't care what the fans have to say. If they boo him, if they hate him, it doesn't matter because Yuta's the man.
Philadelphia's own.
Triple threat match, Speedball Mike Bailey, the best. Will Ospreay, he's my favorite. Swerve.
Main event. Swerve Strickland versus John Moxley. That was definitely.
Basically was my favorite. I love Swerve.
Match of the night. Boom.
They're not wrong. You can't. There's no wrong answer, ladies and gentlemen. There really isn't, because last night, AEW Dynasty, go rewatch it. If you haven't seen it already, for whatever reason, if your Sunday dinner ran late, really late, go back.
Your Sunday dinner ended at 2:00 in the morning. What a meal.
It is. And that's the beauty part about Triller TV. You can watch all of this stuff whenever you want. So that's a beautiful thing for an on-demand service like Triller TV.
I just want to give an extra thank you to everybody at AEW for having us there, hosting us there. A tremendous crew behind the scenes making that show run. I was so impressed with that pay-per-view. I was so impressed with the quality of the team there at AEW. And we really appreciate what they gave to us here at Triller TV Talk. And we here at Triller TV are going to just give you, the fans, more and more and more, because we have so much coming up. So go right now to Triller TV if you haven't. If you're watching this maybe on YouTube or you're seeing a clip on social media, go right now to Triller TV, sign up for the 7 days free trial. Make sure international fans hop on AEW Plus. That's look, you're there already. You have to be there already. That's how you're watching AEW. So go now. If you're not, make sure that you sign up to Triller TV. Dave, this was a fun one. This was a jam-packed, we tried to squeeze this into a half hour. Looks like we got to that just about that 45-minute mark.
Listen, it's impossible considering the fact that we had so much bonus coverage from AEW Dynasty. Then you definitely want to make sure everybody is aware of the things that are coming up on Triller TV, the things that just happened on Triller TV. This is what Triller TV Talk is all about. This is what Josh and I are able to provide you guys, a little bit of a entertaining infomercial, right? Like, just to let you guys know on what you can get right here on Triller TV. Very, very excited about this episode and very excited about future episodes.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. For Dave Sturchio, I'm Josh Shernoff, and this has been Triller TV Talk, where we talk all things Triller TV. We'll see you next week.